The word paresthesia can sound a little scary and sinister, but you probably know it by its much less intimidating name, pins and needles. But what's the link between pins and needles and anxiety? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. We're also going to find out how we can stop it happening. Let's do it. Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim Box. I'm a mind coach, and for more than a decade now, I've been helping people overcome all sorts of emotional and psychological issues, particularly anxiety. Today we're looking into a topic that many people with anxiety experience, but often find puzzling and even scary: pins and needles, primarily in the hands and feet. Now, we've all experienced pins and needles before. Maybe when we've slept on our arm and cut the blood off to our hand, we wake up with no feeling, and as the blood returns, this causes that annoying and uncomfortable tingly feeling we call pins and needles. But when we experience pins and needles for no apparent reason, it can feel a little scary. Well, what many people don't know is that it's very often anxiety itself causing this effect. Now, there are a few reasons why this occurs, and I'm going to break them down one at a time for you. Also, stick around until the end as I'll be explaining what you can do to stop it occurring. Okay, so the first reason for anxiety-induced pins and needles is all to do with our breathing. So when we're anxious, our breathing becomes a little more rapid and shallow, a state which is commonly known as hyperventilation. This is largely due to the effects of cortisol and adrenaline in our system, getting our body ready to take rapid and dynamic action. When we breathe, we expel carbon dioxide, or CO2. So the more rapid exhalation of breaths associated with a more anxious state means we expel more CO2 and reduce the levels of it in our blood. The impact this has on our blood vessels can cause those uncomfortable tingling sensations we're talking about. So essentially creating the same effect as when we fall asleep on our arm. Also, when blood flow decreases, it can affect the nerves in those areas, again, leading to exactly the same effect: numbness and subsequent tingling. Hyperventilation is one of the body's natural ways of responding to anxiety and is in no way a malfunction, but it can lead to those uncomfortable sensations in our limbs due simply to the fact of its impact on our blood flow. Talking of blood flow, let's move on to the second reason. So for this one, we need to look at how our body prioritizes our blood supply when we're in an anxious state. When we feel highly anxious, our mind triggers the stress response, aka fight or flight. As most of us will know, fight or flight is a survival mechanism that prepares us to confront or run away from danger. This response deliberately redirects the blood flow away from non-essential areas like the skin and extremities and prioritizes major muscle groups and vital organs. The body does this by a process called vasoconstriction. Basically, the blood vessels constrict in the extremities to help push the flow to those aforementioned prioritized areas and away from the areas that have been deemed non-essential for survival right now. So whilst it might feel like something's going wrong with us physically because it feels so uncomfortable, it's actually our body functioning perfectly healthily. After all, comfort isn't a top priority when our mind and body is focused on survival in this exact moment. So we've talked about breathing and blood flow, but when it comes to pins and needles, there's also a muscular reason. We've already spoken about anxiety triggering a fight or flight response, and this state of heightened readiness for action inevitably is actioned via our muscles. Because as far as our body is concerned, we're under threat and we're going to need to move fairly dramatically at any moment. So we need our muscles, the things that move us around, to be in a state of tension. This muscle tension occurs especially strongly in the neck, shoulders, and in the back. This tension, whilst very effectively preparing us for action, can also compress nerves and blood vessels, reducing blood flow and irritating nerves. When nerves are compressed due to muscle tension, it's this that causes the tingling and numbness in the hands and the feet. Muscle tension, especially muscles that protect our vital organs and respiratory systems, can cause a whole list of what people often refer to as anxiety symptoms, and pins and needles is just one of them. Finally, let's talk about stress hormones. We've already mentioned that when we're anxious, we trigger the stress response, and this means our body releases stress hormones, namely adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones are great for preparing our body to deal with challenge, but they can also themselves cause physical sensations, including the ones we're talking about, tingling and numbness. That's because these hormones alter physiological processes, such as blood flow and nerve sensitivity. Stress hormones are crucial in how our body reacts to anxiety, but they once again represent our system prioritizing survival over immediate comfort. And it's worth saying, once again, that this is an entirely correct and healthy process. It's basically our body doing what it was designed to do. Yes, we want to be comfortable and happy, but we need to be alive to be able to do that. So our mind and body being able to slip into survival mode is essential and in no way a malfunction. But that being said, pins and needles can be super uncomfortable, especially when it happens at inopportune moments, taking your focus away from what we're doing and focusing us instead on our own physical sensations. So in a moment, I'm going to run through some simple ways you can counteract this effect and get comfortable again. Before I do that though, I just want to briefly mention the very best anxiety management option available online, and that is of course the members area of this channel. For just £9 a month, you get access to all the extra content I put up every week exclusively for members. I regularly share insights, strategies and tips to help you manage your anxiety and improve your mental health. By becoming a member, you also become part of a supportive community of people who understand what you're going through. I do weekly live streams to address members' concerns directly, and we also have an active community page on Facebook. Just hit the join button on the main page. Now that we understand the mechanisms, let's talk about how we manage and alleviate these pins and needles sensations. Firstly, deliberately slow your breathing. Remember, we said a huge culprit when it comes to the pins and needles sensation was the reduction of carbon dioxide levels in your blood. So you can counteract this by taking longer breaths. Allow your body to replenish your CO2 levels by expelling it at a slower rate. Now, there are lots of tutorials online that teach breathing techniques, but a good starting point is to deliberately take longer out breaths, thus encouraging a deeper, more controlled breathing pattern. Secondly, engage in relaxing activities. So I've got some guided relaxation videos in the members area of this channel, but there are loads of things you could do to deliberately calm your mind and body. There's meditation, mindfulness or yoga, and 100 other ways of reducing that muscle tension we were talking about and calming the stress response. Any way you choose to do this, reducing the physical tension in your body will help restore blood flow and get rid of those pins and needles. Let's also add into the mix maintaining a good diet and exercise regimen, as well as keeping hydrated. By keeping healthy, we give a better level of support to our nerve and muscle function. Also, regular exercise improves circulation. Even a regular walk can help. However, one thing I should say is if you're planning on upping your exercise and you have any existing medical condition, please always seek advice from your healthcare professional where appropriate. With that in mind, one final tip to help reduce any sort of anxiety-related sensation is to maybe consider getting some one-to-one assistance with anxiety levels. There's no weakness displayed in seeking help when help would be valued, and reaching out for help with anxiety doesn't mean we have an anxiety problem. It just means we value ourselves enough to do what would be good for us. Now, this doesn't have to be me, of course, but if you do want to talk to me personally, then there's details in the description as to how you get in touch for an initial consultation. Understanding the link between anxiety and pins and needles can empower you to manage those sensations better. But I didn't make this video to encourage you to employ countermeasures against some malfunctioning anxiety response. I made this video with one takeaway in mind. That is that pins and needles are not a symptom of an anxiety condition. Neither are they a mysterious health problem that demands concern. Pins and needles are a natural, healthy response. It's your body doing what it's being asked of it in the face of perceived threat. Whilst you might disagree that there is any threat and that you should be in a fight or flight mode right now, the reasons these sensations repeat and persist is because you've at some point started to regard them as an indicator of some mental or physical malfunction. That's the threat your mind is now responding to. Well, the truth is, they're not. So if you take one thing away from this video, then let it be this. You no longer need to fear pins and needles or even regard them as of any concern or even any interest. As soon as you accept these sensations as normal, your mind will stop looking for them and your body will stop creating them. I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and please hit that thumbs up button and share the video to help others. But that's it for now. I'm Tim Box, Mind Coach. Always remember to be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.